Welcome back, everyone, to one more exciting episode of 1 Million Mind. Hi, Balaji. How are you doing?
Hey Rajni, I'm doing great. I think it's almost the vacation is over. Next week, my kids are going to school. I'm sure yours are already in school, right? In Texas?
They are. They started 2 days ago. I mean, it's a short week, but when they are definitely not happy about it. But I guess once they get into a rhythm of things, it'll be okay. Waking up at 9 or 10 a.m. is not a luxury they have anymore. So for sure, we'll
That's the thing. Yeah,
compensate for that the weekend.
gotta get up early and get going.
I know. So it's painful. But we have a lot of items to cover, so I want to jump in quickly into our first topic. I know we've talked about this a little bit, but it looks like a lot of these companies are trying to make the prompts more efficient. So, for example, Anthropic is now allowing you to cache prompts, so which gives your Anthropic almost like a giant sticky note to save common parts of your prompt. So basically you don't have to every time you send a giant prompt there's a cost involved in it, right? So they're trying to lower the cost of actually uh, using the tool. I know we're going to talk to some of those use cases, but what this means is instead of sending huge prompts that don't change for the most part, can be um, make it a little bit more streamlined where it remembers it like a sticky note. Long chats, working with long files, or question answering, all that without have making a dent in your wallet is what they're trying to do. And again, Claude 3.5 within Anthropic is one of the models it's trying to do. It's getting cheaper, but the broad theme is AI is getting cheaper and more powerful day over day. Right? That's what our common hypothesis is. Everything is getting to be cheaper, more. We don't even know some of the use cases are going to pop up out of it. But let's keep in that in mind. Help me understand a little bit more about some of the use cases. Just can we kind of break this down for our audience as the least technical way possible? How this is helping?
Yeah, sure thing, Rajni. I think when when we start playing with the AI and large language models, the one of the things that stands out is even though they make it all simplified and easy to construct, um, the prompt engineering came up to be a big thing, but apparently it's not engineering; it's just googling at some point, right? So,
Hmm.
but nevertheless, it's just the piece of instruction that you're giving these models to do certain things, and so the output is sort of predictable. Let's say. So these are instruction trained, let's say, and then you have to give it a prompt. Say basically, you are this, and you're going to give the model some sort of guidelines and instructions that say, hey, respond to me in this way. Some people like JSON responses, some people like text responses, some people like function calls, whatever. But these all go into this prompt instruction, and I'm sure people who are in Twitter, when OpenAI first came up, people are just trying to hack to see what the system prompt for the OpenAI is. So, what are they telling it to do? How can I hack this? So, just setting some context to what the prompt is, right? So, the prompt itself has a lot of these sections, right, where you're basically saying it to play a role, right? You are an AI assistant, or you are uh, uh, what you call content creator or copyright writer, or whatever it is, right? So then comes the portion where you're giving it specific guidelines and instructions to how to do the job. And then comes the context piece, which may or may not change with each request, right? The context is you're setting a frame of mind for that model to work with relevant pieces of information. And it became very popular with the RAG, right? One of the reasons why RAG is
Yes.
popular is that you're setting the context so that it can focus only on the context if you want it to, right? That way it is not going to go hallucinate. So the context is a piece of the prompt that goes in, and then you have expected results, like what do you so these it's almost like I would explain it in a layman's terms. Think of it like a HTML page with different sections. Some are static, some are dynamic, some are changing, some are cached. It's evolving out to be very similar. Now on the server side, what we are trying to optimize here is like, why should you send this every single time, right? You can see this round trips and multi-turn conversations. So every time you add some more, this thing keeps growing and becoming bigger and bigger. So what can you cache, and what's dynamic, what's static, right? And that's the game that's getting played. Like anything static can cache it, can monitor about it. That way, the people who are sending these can only send relevant portions that change. How can you do this smarter, right? Uh,
Got it. Yeah,
that's the whole.
it definitely that helps a lot with the explanation. So just looking at just the stop on, right, that makes sense to me. Is if you had a PDF of a book and you wanted to interact with the book instead of having to send it to be able to talk, you can cache the book, and then instead of 11 seconds, it's 2.4 seconds for the first response, and the cost reduction is almost 90%. So
Right.
if there's big articles you're talking to, or you're having a multi-turn conversation, just being able to cache some of this context is helpful for, first of all,
Yeah.
keeping the conversation relevant, also reducing costs, right?
You don't have to send the text from the book from the browser. Like when you go to OpenAI, drag and drop a file, right? You're not sending that file for every chat round trip, right? It just once you send it, it keeps it, and then you can converse with it. So the static portion is that file. The dynamic portion is your question and answer session, right? So
Conversation.
right, conversation. So this is where the optimization is coming in. So you don't have to. How do you efficiently cache across multiple servers and all kind of other fun stuff?
Got it. So I think they will just wrap this one up with saying this: the end of the day, there are people working on making the AI is getting cheaper and more powerful, right? Even with the newer models coming out, um, they, as you can tell, just looking at the trend, is they're getting stronger and more powerful. But there's a big emphasis on making each of these interactions as cheap as possible, so people can build systems that are not just like in crypto, right? If your cost of transaction doesn't go down, people are not going to adopt it for a day to day, like a Visa, like a credit card transaction on Ethereum. If the transaction price goes down, then more people can use it, more transactions happen. So at the end of the day, the lower and more powerful, lower cost and more powerful these models become, the more use cases that we haven't even thought about are going to pop up. So I'm excited about it.
This is a very good
So
sign, Rajni. I think one of the reasons why I like this trend is that now we are getting the engineering side of things, right? How can we optimize so we can create some margin for the business to continue to function, right? So earlier it was
correct.
it was a marketing dollars, get as many people as you can. Now you're trying to okay, how can we actually and every business has gone through the cycle like Facebook and all of these are crucial steps to getting to getting something that's much more productive.